The struggle has been real at the Fox propaganda outlet to defend the entirety of Donald Trump's disaster presidency, but especially over the last couple of days when we see not just a dangerous, but a dumb scandal break out of this administration. Of course, I am referring to a compromised Signal group chat in which Pete Hegseth, even though he's trying to deny it, was sharing war plans. And so Fox has, like I said, struggled to defend that. But what's even been worse for them is that they're bringing Democrats on who are absolutely shredding them when they try to. And we saw that with Congressman Jason Crow, who went on Fox and shut down Will Cain, the same guy who said that he was proud of the messages he saw in the group chat because he's a propagandist and a Trump stooge. And Jason Crow ripped him to shreds. We're going to get into all of that, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now let's check out Jason Crow, and then stick around after, because we're going to hear from Tim Miller.
Well, what's inappropriate and reprehensible is just the fact that nobody's taking any responsibility for what was an unacceptable use of an unclassified, unsecure system, right?
So what is responsibility? Because I've heard the NSA. But to be clear, we've heard the NSA advisor and the president say it was a mistake and it won't be made again in the future, and they're going to figure out which communications devices to use when and where. So how have they not taken responsibility?
Well, nobody's told us what's going to change and who will be held personally accountable. You know, when I was an Army Ranger, I served 3 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, which you know. And, you know, if any private, if any captain, if any sergeant had done the same thing, they would have lost their job. There would have been a court-martial. That person would have been charged. But, you know, how is it possible that the people at the very top who are supposed to be leading by example, which is the fundamental foundational aspect of military leadership, are not being held accountable here? It's just not okay, and it sends a really bad message.
The accountability that you require, and I think you asked for today, right, is that you think Secretary Hegseth should resign or be fired?
Yeah, that is what I called for. It would be better if he resigned, because that would be an acknowledgement by him that, hey, he made a mistake, right?
Okay,
people make mistakes, but you have to own that.
Congressman, in those tours in Afghanistan, which, by the way, thank you for your service, if you had left your rifle somewhere on the field and lost your rifle, would you have been court-martialed? Would you have been relieved of your job?
Well, court-martial wouldn't have actually been the proper remedy, but usually there's
you would have been held accountable.
Yeah, accountability. There's usually what's called an Article 15 proceeding. So you lose a weapon, you don't follow an order. You know, there has to be accountability. That is the cornerstone of competency in the military.
And Congressman, what I'm trying to figure out today is whether or not you guys as Democratic congressmen are genuinely interested in the national security of the United States, or whether or not you're trying to score hyperbolic partisan points. So I'm sure we're going to find out you're principled on this, on these calls across the action. So when we had our disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, wherein 13 Marines were killed, did you call for the resignation of Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin?
Well, listen here. This, you know, but what if or whatever situation.
No,
this is always what you do.
I'm trying to figure out if you're principled and you've applied this on every occasion.
These are apples and oranges situations. These are apples and oranges situations, right? Lloyd Austin never once in his entire career sent classified, top secret information about military plans and a mission over
so you didn't.
Extremely dangerous territory in the way that Pete Hegseth did. Right?
Just to continue the curiosity, did you call for the resignation, Congressman, did you call for the resignation of anybody from the military for that withdrawal from Afghanistan wherein 13 Marines were killed? If not Austin, anyone? Did you call for anyone's firing?
Will, listen to me. These are apples and oranges situations, right? You're not a veteran, right?
No, I'm not.
No, let me explain something. Retrograde operations, withdrawal operations are some of the hardest operations anybody can conduct, right? Now, I've been very vocal. I was very vocal against the Biden administration. I didn't pull my punches there, right? And actually what I did is I led a bipartisan effort to create an Afghanistan War Commission to actually investigate it. And then I was actually appointed the ranking member, the Democrat, of the Oversight and Accountability Subcommittee to conduct an investigation, and we did that. And there was a complete and comprehensive report of the lessons learned. And I'm actually sponsoring legislation to fix those issues.
I have some of your words right here,
We're taking action to fix it.
Congressman, in fact, I do have some of your words right here. So this is what you told CPR News, which is a Colorado news agency. Back in 2023, you said, I do think the withdrawal from Afghanistan was messy. It was chaotic. There were a lot of mistakes that were made, and I haven't pulled punches on that. And then you go on to say in that same interview, but there are lessons learned, and I take a holistic look and not look at it through a small frame. So you admit that it was a mistake. You know that it was connected. I agree, by the way, it is apples and oranges, because in this situation, 13 Marines actually died. So I agree, they're not apples to apples comparisons. But on this particular mistake, you didn't demand anyone's resignation. And so I don't find it principled that now you do when nothing happened other than a successful military operation was executed. It seems to me, Congressman, that what you're doing is playing politics, not principles. Operation.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not, right? Focus on the issue at hand right now, right? My number one sacred responsibility is to make sure today and tomorrow and going forward, our men and women in uniform are protected. And I don't have that confidence right now because no one's accepted responsibility.
But you
right?
did
Very
under
clearly.
Lloyd
This is what we
Austin.
know. This is what we know.
But you did
this is
under
what we
Lloyd
know
Austin.
happened. This is what we absolutely know, uncontroverted, happened. The Secretary of Defense posted over an unsecure, unclassified channel in real time the launch of missions over contested enemy territory, over the Houthis, by the way, which are not a bunch of folks riding around in the back of pickup trucks carrying AK-47s, but this is a small army that has some of the most sophisticated air defense weapon systems in the world, that has actually shot down MQ-9 Reaper drones recently and shot down other U.S. systems. Right? And they compromise the integrity of that mission. That is what we're talking about. That is what the hearing was about today. And that is the accountability that right now, here today, we are pushing for. Because, listen,
was the location of those...
I have to go to sleep
Congressman,
at night.
No, I have two more questions. No, I have two more questions. Was the location of those strikes in that messaging?
I don't believe the locations were, but that doesn't matter.
Was
right?
the targets?
Let me explain how this works.
Congressman, another question.
Let me explain how this works.
Were the targets
These are
listed
regional.
in that?
Will, these are regional
listed?
air defense systems. These are regional air defense systems. Let me explain how an SA-3 and an SA-6 works. These are the two systems that the Houthis have that they got from the Russians. If they know that aircraft are flying over a region or an area, not even a specific target, they can launch an SA-3 and an SA-6, much like they did when they shot down the MQ-9 Reaper drone last year. So they don't need to know the exact location. So here you have people on this signal text chain, one of whom, by the way, was sitting in Moscow when this happened. It was sitting in Moscow, the most dangerous environment in the world for a cell phone.
Right.
And they were saying,
Congressman,
that we are launching
I know the
strikes.
details.
So if the Houthis knew about that, they could have shot him down.
Congressman, I and everybody watching know the details. The difference between your position and mine is that nobody on my side of the aisle is pretending protection. I'm not. I'm certainly not. Pretending perfection.
No, the
administration
no, the
isn't. No, hold on. The difference is the administration has admitted a mistake. You are demanding the type of accountability in resignations that you never did when, yes, and apples and oranges things happen that result in the death of 13 Marines. And I have to tell you, that reveals to me you don't have real national security concerns. You see this as a partisan political opportunity. That's what that lack of consistency says to me.
Will, I have spent my life in service to this country. I have taken the oath of office, which you have never taken, by the way, to put my life on the line to defend this country. And I went to a war in Iraq. I went to a war in Afghanistan twice. I have stood up time and time again to defend this nation. And I've seen my friends give their lives for this country. So do not tell me that I don't have real national security concerns, and I will not, every single night before I go to bed, every night, ask myself one simple question. Am I keeping faith with the men and women who I have a solemn obligation to keep faith, our sons, our daughters, our brothers, our sisters, that we're asking right now, while we're sitting here in the comfort of our offices and under the Capitol Dome, to go and fight for us? Are we keeping faith for them?
Congressman,
that is the simple question all of us must ask.
Just absolutely nonsensical. The points that the Fox propaganda outlet is trying to deliver to defend Pete Hegseth. And it's the reason why previously I made a video talking about the many Fox hosts who were just blatantly saying it. Yeah, this was wrong. This was a massive screw up. And their denial and their attempt to wordsmith the situation and get themselves out of it is just ridiculous. He was sharing war plans. If this was a black woman or someone that Pete Hegseth would jump at the opportunity to call a DEI hire, yeah, this person would be facing criminal prosecution. It would be a complete outrage, and we would never see the end of the investigation that took place. And good. This needs to be investigated. We need prosecution. We need accountability of Pete Hegseth, of Tulsi Gabbard, of Mike Waltz, of J.D. Vance, of course, of Donald Trump, who apparently knows nothing of the sort. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And we're seeing a lot of crazy, absurd defensive MAGA lately. It's just what we expect. But a lot of great people calling it out. I promised you some Tim Miller. Tim went on Piers Morgan's show yesterday, and I'm not even going to explain it. You're just going to have to take a look.
The difference is that we are not the people who get outraged over every joke and every word and every sort of innuendo. It's you guys
I'm
who
glad.
do.
Well, so good.
So
then
I'm
we have
not
another
outraged
agreement. I like
at the
agreements.
joke. I'm outraged at the fact that a human rights campaign fundraiser where it's about all the marginalized people and the perceived oppression of the trans people and everything else, that there she's making a joke about disabled people and they're laughing about it. I'm not outraged at the joke. I make far worse jokes than that on my show every single day.
I mean, let me bring in.
So we're slicing it kind of thin there. So we're going to pretend to be outraged about her joke when the president of the United States core brand is making these sort of jokes. So I wouldn't, if I was her, I wouldn't have put out the statement afterwards. If it's me, you know, I don't know. I think that Dave's kind of business model over there, you know, I don't take money from any Russian assets. Like, that's just me. So I'm able to just kind of say what I really think on here with Dave. You never know. So I understand why he might not, you know, he might want to pick his spots.
All right. Well, let me bring
That's
in.
some great work you're doing at Bulwark, a real solid place of journalism over there.
Well, we haven't taken any money from the Russians at the Bulwark, Piers. I don't know if you know this, but Dave took $400,000 per month from a Russian information operation. And so you understand why.
And what was the name of the show that I did for the Russians? Tell me that.
Right now is just handing things over to the Russians, that he has to pretend to be outraged about things. You know, just you don't know who's paying the bill.
What was the name of the show I did for the Russians, champ?
It was Tenet Media that paid you. Tenet Media.
What was the name of the show?
Right?
What was the name of the show?
$400,000 per month and a $100,000 signing bonus. That not you?
Yeah, you just literally don't know what you're talking about, which is standard. You work for MSNBC and the Bulwark. It's impressive.
All right,
okay, so that wasn't you then. You weren't commentator one in that indictment there, Dave? That wasn't you?
It is so funny that Dave Rubin gets all angry and upset and high and mighty, kind of, when called out for being just essentially a Russian asset. You are. Why do you have this this anger? Like, it's what you are. Oh my gosh, these people are ridiculous. I can't even compute their cognitive dissonance, and I'm not going to try. But we're just going to call them out. And if you want to support that and the independent media that's happening on this show, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.